So let's start with a story. These two gangsters are my desktop friends. This is, of course, Balrog and Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings, right? These two little Lego brickheads, they call them, my wife got me for Christmas. Thank you, loving wife. And it's the first Lego I've had in my life for 30 years or so, right? And it turns out that with the internet having happened in that intervening 30 years, there's some really cool possibilities for Lego people to find each other online and have interesting conversations, right? It's in that context that this application arises, right? Obviously, we can go to the Lego website and spend too much money on things that are too cool, right? But there are also some community websites like Bricklink. In fact, these are not just some community websites. These are enormous. I think it's almost 1 million people on Rebrickable.com. This footer would tell us there are 956,000 people on this one website. We'll get back to Rebrickable in a moment. Bricklink and sites like Brickowl allow people to buy and sell secondhand parts and sets, but also to discuss and to trade things they call MOCs, right? My own creations. An MOC is a Lego design that didn't come from the Lego company. It came from someone who wanted to make their own design. And you know what? I think that is beautiful. That is one of the good, awesome things about our world today, our internet today. We've got tons of problems on the internet. This is not one of them. That people can create novel designs with Lego, and then a stranger on the other side of the planet can build that. That is something special about us today. Discovering these communities was a blast. Okay, so we're not going to talk much more about the other than Rebrickable community sites, because Rebrickable I have fallen particularly in love with for a certain reason. And that reason is that the team behind the Rebrickable website appear to be not just Lego geeks, but software and tech geeks. You get little clues to that all over the website. So for example, there's a Rebrickable API, right? I don't use it, I probably should, but it's available. That is wild. There's a downloads page which makes Rebrickable the unknowing hero in this entire optimization little education series that I presume to make here. Because without this data, there wouldn't be a ball game, right? Rebrickable, thank you so much for offering your back-end data schema. For God's sakes, you're a commercial enterprise, and this is the level of vision that you give on the data. Now, much of the curation of this data is a community exercise. So Rebrickable offers really cool things like the Rebrick Net. This is an app you can download to a phone and point at some random Lego bricks that you're struggling to identify, and it'll tell you what the bricks are. And this is overtly an invitation to the Rebrickable community to upload pictures of parts as training data for. It's just insane. This ticks every single box for me. That's massive. But also, Rebrickable have a build feature, which is unique. The other sites don't seem to have anything like this, and I could be wrong, but I think this is unique to Rebrickable. And what its job is to do, there's two parts to it, right? First, you have to tell the website what your Lego parts are. Like here, I've now confessed and told a few truths here. I have the Bugatti Bolide, and I have Gandalf and Balrog. I do not have the Liber excavator, and if I did, I would just spend all day pushing things around my house. This is like the ultimate Technic Lego set, right? I do not have Old Trafford Stadium. The reason that they're here is I wanted to artificially inflate my ego, or I should say my part inventory, to allow for a more challenging optimization in the app that I've built. And that worked. I do have Twirling Rapunzel and the Magical Unicorn, and they're wonderful. So you tell it what Lego you have. You can also tell it one piece by one piece what you have, and you can delete pieces as well, one by one. So as your dog is eating your Lego pieces, you can watch the dog and you can delete those pieces from your inventory. And the point of having your here, allegedly 20,144 total parts of my own, is that I can then use this build feature on the website. And this build feature does what you're probably already suspecting that it does, which is you use some sensible options to parameterize. We'll go through every single one of these options because we're actually going to re-implement every single one of these options. And to parameterize a search over the entire universe of official Lego sets and the community designed Lego sets. And we'll get into these options later, but you got some sensible options for color sensitivity, and maybe you want to use one part that's very, very similar in shape and function to some other part, but it's not quite the same part, and so on and so on. You can exclude the little Lego man. Off you go. You can make really dramatic expansions or reductions to the search space by saying things like, look, okay, I only want parts with 300 parts or more, but I don't want them to have more than 1,200 parts. And the only theme that ever matters ever is the Technic Lego theme to me. That's not true. There's some really cool themes outside of that. Some year ranges, what have you. And then you hit find sets. And then it runs a job. And actually, to optimization nuts out there, you know what this feels like to me? It reminds me of the NEOS server. Shout out to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who in their basement keep a stack of servers that you can send optimization problems to and get solutions back from for free. Love you guys. That didn't take long. And now we have a list of buildable sets. So these awesome sets are, you see the picture. What's interesting is this 100% indicates that I have in my inventory 100% of the parts required for example, this Abarth sports car, right, by user Mirrorbricks. That's actually a cool picture. Hey, Mirrorbricks, shout out to user Mirrorbricks. This is a free community design. So, I don't have to pay anything. I can literally just go ahead, download the instructions here, and they look like you would expect. They look vanishingly close to the official thing from Lego. I mean, there it is, and it starts. You start your instruction. You can print this. You can just keep it on screen. I mean, it looks like this stuff that came with the Bugatti Bolide, right? That's amazing. And by the way, although it's not the subject of this video, the other things, you can see a whole lot of downloadable things here, because you can, it's kind of cute. This user has allowed you to create the extra golf bag. You can create yourself a little golf bag as well, and there's a little PDF for that. But these things, these .io file downloads, if you take the .io file download and you open it up in a special piece of software that is available for free from one of the other sites called Bricklink Studio, right? The software is called Bricklink Studio. Then you have a 3D CAD package here that you can render your Lego design in. I mean, this is how the instructions come from, or where the instructions come from. This is insane. Okay, so that's it. You've got assemblies and sub-assemblies all the way on down, and you can just goof with this car. And this is a tremendous amount of value to just a person for free, right? I think this is insane. I'm loving the world today a lot, right? And many other days too. So okay, but this little sojourn into the CAD side of things was not where we wanted to go. What we wanted to point out was that, thank you again, user Mirrorbricks, that these search results speak of maybe they offer an agreement that's so obvious that a lot of people probably don't make much of a point of it. And the agreement is, hey, if I did actually choose to make that a Barth, most of the other sets on this page wouldn't be true anymore. I couldn't make them at the same time because I'm going to use the parts for this one, and then the other results aren't true. So the developers behind the Rebrickable website and the users, they're all in perfect agreement on this. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a fantastic agreement, right? Pick one. But now we want to pick more than one. So if that feature was called the build search, being as inventive as I presume to be, I'm just going to call my multi-build search, right? And what we're going to be able to do is have an algorithm search the Lego universe and bring back sets that are all buildable at the same time from a given user's inventory, right? This solves the there are tons of kids at a 6-year-old's birthday party problem, right? So let's say there are 10 kids who all want to build something. They want to pick what that something is up front. You don't want this to be a whole headache. And you've got, a proud mom and dad, for example, might have a really large Lego inventory. So you know that this is possible in theory, but in practice, you've got to offer the kids a selection process. And the search algorithm has to not just look for buildable sets, but sets buildable in consideration of other sets also buildable, right? So the search algorithm has to manage something that I think is useful to call an interdependent variable search, right? That as you decide to create one small bundle of selectable sets, that's a careful bundle because none of these bundles actually eat each other's parts in the inventory, right? And it is, I think, phrasable perfectly as a mixed integer linear program, right? And we can debate, and we will debate the objective functions. You can weight the objective function by theme and so on and so forth. You can do things like just say, hey, I don't really care how many sets you build. I just want to use as many of my own inventory parts as possible. Go, just like give me all the sets that use them. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to build a multi-search, and that is literally the problem description. Except that those of you who've built software before, probably, and optimization software specifically, would know that the problem description also should be some kind of a document that'll follow along our little repository of code. Right? And so that's what we're going to do as we finish up here. Which reminds me, we need a repository. So let's go get that one done. So let's do that, right? This is the op models organization. Let's go and create us a little GitHub repository. A new one, thank you very much. Let's call it, fancy that, opt Lego is a great name. Let's make it public. Let's add a README. And gosh, MIT sounds like a good license to me today, doesn't it? And we'll create that repository. Then we'll take our repository link, go to our favorite text editor. Let's open, I guess, my desktop folder would be great. I keep my desktop empty just for times like this. This is my desktop, not much going on here. I want to do a git clone from that repo. Now we have it locally, fantastic. Okay, full disclosure, guys. Okay, opt Lego is the name of the folder we just pulled down from the cloud. Let's go into that, and magic, it's already got a problem description in it. How'd that happen? I had a small goof when recording these videos. I recorded the part of the video that I'm now recording again, lost it, but during that part I pushed up to the GitHub repository the completed problem description, which is what we have here, this little markdown one pager, which I'd like to not mess with. I don't want to revert the commit and so forth. I'd like the commit history to be quite clean for you know, be a little bit more welcoming to newcomers in case anybody wants to go through that repository's commit history. So just forgive me. Let's take a look at this, roughly speaking, one pager little markdown file together just here, and then let's pretend that we're going to push it up, even though it's already been pushed up to the repository. So I don't want to get too philosophical about this, and you do you. First thing to be said is that very often, in at least commercial contexts, such as I've been able to see, at least in my humble opinion, you very rarely do see problem descriptions that are actually for the problem that you're working on right now. You'll very frequently see problem descriptions from very close problems described in academic papers, right? The materials review at the beginning of some project will reveal that this paper and that one and maybe that one have got pretty similar problem descriptions, and those are the problem descriptions that you're looking at. But to actually have a problem description for exactly the domain, it's fantastic practice. It's rarely done. I don't know, maybe it's a bit like a business plan. You know, once you've written a business plan, boom, it goes into the bottom drawer and you very seldom revisit it or something. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just because of my specific perspective that at Ample, we very often got involved in projects once they were a little bit along, you know. Whatever the case is, if you're going to do a problem description, do it well. And well means make it welcoming to outsiders, non-technical people. Like, my mom should be happy to read my problem description. Hi, Mom. Hi. I'm going to task my mom in reading this problem description, and I'll let you guys know in the next video. I might not, if she's enjoyed it. But the point is, don't use jargon. Don't make it overly long. I'm not going to read out to you what I've written here. This is a description of the inventory matching challenge that a user faces when they've got their own parts and they want to build something new, right? And then it is really important to admit that there's already a fantastic solution addressing this problem. And we want to describe that solution here. So I'm calling it solution description version 1, right? The existing app. And I describe what Rebrickable offer by way of their build search feature. Right? And then finally, I propose a solution version 2.0, right? A proposed app. And I just thought in this case, hey, maybe the best way is just to literally name the user interface, kind of the use case progression, the steps, right? A user will customize their search, much like they currently do. Results are presented to the user a few sets at a time. The user pins any sets that they like, clicks rinse and repeat. The unpinned sets are discarded and they don't appear in subsequent results. We can fiddle with that. Maybe discarded set should at some point resurface. Who knows? We can fool with that. The parts they would have consumed from the user's inventory are freed up. A new search begins, right? Except that it doesn't feel like a new search. It just feels like a refresh, right? on the existing really user interface, which will be interesting to create. New results appear. This process of pegging the results that look like they're interesting and flushing the others out repeats until there are no more parts in the user's inventory that could reasonably be used, or any more sets in the search space that might be interesting to the user. Now, one thing I hadn't mentioned before, but I'd like to mention now, optionally, we can add an additional functionality that allows the user to specify some amount of money for purchasing new parts, because that can expand the search space dramatically, right? If this little algorithm that we're about to start focusing on a hell of a lot here has got a hard time just making ends meet with the last couple of parts, has otherwise got a very decent set of 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 sets, all concurrently buildable, but man, there's just 17 parts between all of them here that just are not there, and you allocate $2 for the purchase of those parts, you're in business. Okay, so that's it. Now, imagine with me that we're going to push this up to our inventory and, to our online repository, and we're done with problem descriptions. I'll see you in the next one. I hope this is fun. I'm having tons of fun. Take care.